All right. What's up, everybody? I've been reading a lot of articles lately, and I think these articles have started mostly because Ford announced that they are officially kicking in production deliveries of the Lightning in the next couple days, actually. And this has led to a lot of doubtful darrels on the internet. And now they have some good points, but at the same time, I don't think it's as bad as they're making it seem. There's two main things I want to source. So first, I want to talk about battery issues. Like, is Ford going to have enough batteries to keep up with production? And then also, there's news around the Mach E that has people worried. Well, if the Mach E is not being produced as much anymore, what does that mean for the Lightning? So I'm just going to share my thoughts on that, and we can dive into that and a couple other pieces of news here today. So let's do it. But before we do that, just a quick thank you to everyone who has been subscribing recently. You guys make my day. It really is cool to see all the new people here. And if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you decide to stick around. We're always talking about electric vehicles, the Ford Lightning specifically, electric trucks, and everything under the sun, really. So if any of that sounds interesting, we'd love to have you in this tiny little community that we got going on here. So I appreciate it. So there's a lot of fears around so many companies ramping up EV production that there won't be enough batteries to go around, which is a very fair argument, actually. Like, there's a lot of solid ground to stand on. And in fact, it will be an ongoing issue for a while. And the question remains even stronger for Ford, because remember the popularity of the Mach E right now, plus they've launched the e-Transit, and they've got a ton of fleet orders for the Ford Lightning, as well as all these consumer orders. So like, demand is there, and it's like huge for the Lightning right now. So it's like I said, it's just totally fair to ask that question. Like, do they have enough battery supplies? Because if we go back to some earlier articles, Ford has said they've ramped up production. They've got everything in place. They've got the manpower. They're going to keep doubling production, and they're going to hit the ground running. But all of that just kind of falls out the window if they don't have the supplies to make it happen. If they don't have the batteries to build these vehicles, then what are we going to do? The good news of all this, though, and kind of just negates everything, is Ford has never actually stated that this is an issue for them. This is all just speculation. And while it could be an issue down the road, and maybe they vaguely hinted at it, it's nothing to like worry about right now, is what I'm saying. Although it's something to keep an eye on, absolutely. So around this article that was about the batteries, there was a quote from Jim Farley himself where he said, if this launch doesn't go well, it could tarnish the entire franchise. And while it's a little dramatic, I think there's a lot of truth to that. So knowing that, like, Ford is not going to go in and overpromise and underdeliver here, at least when it comes to the delivery of vehicles and the production of vehicles. We've already kind of been overpromised and underdelivered when it talks to the pre-orders and availability. But I'm going to toss that up for, well, Ford didn't know exactly how popular it would be. So knowing that, I think they have adjusted and corrected course enough that we will have semi-smooth sailing from here on out. So I want to just nip that kind of negativity in the bud while saying there's truth to it, though, too. So like, keep an eye on it, but there's nothing to worry about. So that's that. Let's move on to the next piece of this puzzle, which is the Mach E being officially sold out, as they say. So there's no more orders on the 2022 Mach E, which honestly I state as a good thing for Lightning. And let me explain why. I think if it goes back to like the battery supply issues, Ford only maybe has enough battery. Like, obviously they're different packs and everything, but the materials used for them are very similar. So if they cut off the Mach E, it won't encroach onto the already planned numbers of the Lightning. So my guess is, even before going into 2022 Mach E, they had a set number that they knew they couldn't go over without touching or hurting the production of the Lightning. And that's probably a big reason, among just like the huge popularity that they're already dealing with the Mach E, for the reason they're cutting off orders. So a small caveat too that's important is they're doing production of these vehicles in totally different places. So really the only thing that makes them interact with each other, or like taking away one from the other, is the fact that the battery or parts that are shared between them. So manpower and production facilities are in totally different places. So it's not like they have to like stop the Mach E just to start the Lightning. It's really materials only. It's interesting because right now you cannot order an EV from Ford because now the Lightning is well sold out. Again, other than like a couple trickle orders that some dealers are still getting in. We've already talked about that though. So that's sold out. And then now the Mach E is sold out. So it looks like you can technically order an E-Transit. I just don't know how the whole process works, if I'm being totally honest. So there is an electric vehicle you can buy from Ford technically. It's odd that like the most popular car is sold out, and I'm just taking an educated guess here of saying it's probably because they're focusing on the Lightning, and it makes sense. So just let's talk numbers for a little bit. So last quarter, Ford was able to sell just around 7,000 Mach E's, which is a decent amount of number, but it then makes me want to talk a little bit about production for the Lightning. Okay, so let's look at Mach E's actual production numbers and see if we can gauge Ford's capacity based on that, right? So there's a great chart here from Inside EVs, one of my favorites. Good job, guys. And basically it shows every month their actual production numbers, which of course is different. I know I just said their sales were around 7,000 a year, but that's sold, not produced. So again, sold is important though to keep track of the tax credit availability, which is why we've dove into that in more detail in the past. But let's talk actual production numbers. So as you see, so what I'd like to do is in this dark blue color is actually 2022. And as we see, they did around a total of probably 6,000 their first year. And that's not bad at all. And then when it came to their year after, they really did some work. So you see immediately starting in January the next year, they went from around 3,000 to 4,000, hovered around 4,000, kicked it up to 6,000, hovered around 6,000, and then just basically between 5,000 and 6,000 until October, where I think this chip shortage first hit of last year, and then they're right back to being able to produce pretty great numbers between 7K, almost 8K last March. So really good sign, because even if the Lightning, as we're seeing, we can probably map it to this is what I'm saying. So 2022, we know we're getting lower numbers, which is just what we expected. But if they can do what they did with the Mach E and really come and kick it into overdrive for 2023, like they did going from 2020 to 2021 with the Mach E, I think we can be really looking at decent numbers for us 2023 orderers. And I really could hope that, we're hitting the, let's just conservatively say they can do like 5,000 a quarter, maybe. That would be great. Even that would be great, because that's putting us at 20,000 a year, which is probably double what we're going to get this year, which is, I know it's not amazing, especially for those of you at the very end of the waiting list right now. However, it's just a realistic number. So I'm going to say around 20 or 30,000 for 2022. And, let's cross our fingers that that's what happens. And keep in mind, that does include fleet manufacturing, which there's a decent amount of people ordering these for their fleet, which Ford is probably going to cater to and build those first and foremost. An interesting number on the Transit, while they only have sold 528 so far, they apparently have over 10,000 orders on hand. So it very well could, Ford's got a lot to deal with right now in the EV sector, which is exciting and sure, certainly a little scary too. But let's all just say a group hymnal saying, let the supply chain issues end and let us be able to buy vehicles like normal humans again. Wouldn't that be great? Let me tell you guys, I've been looking at cars with my wife because we're trading her car in, and I'm dealing with dealers again, and it's just a nightmare. It is insane right now. I'm probably going to make a whole nother video on just this crazy interaction I just had, but oh my God, I just want to go back to, well, I don't want to go back. I want to just enter a new realm of buying vehicles. So we could dream, right? I don't know. All right, I'm gonna end the video here. You guys, thank you for watching. I'm hopeful we got just a lot of stuff coming up soon, so stick around. I'm excited. So that's it. Bye.